Welcome back, guys. This is the second episode of the AMT podcast. Now, today it's not AMT, it's A&M. Today we're going to be talking about a more laid-back topic. We're going to be talking about some shower thoughts we've been having, and we want to discuss with you guys.
We've been having like it's a disorder. It's like symptoms of a disease.
Kinda is. Once you hear them. So,
what's your first one then?
If we evolved from monkeys, just how science states,
Can you stop banging the table?
from monkeys,
Okay.
why do monkeys still exist and roam the world? What need would there be for monkeys to still exist?
So you don't think? Wait.
I
To get the mic closer. You don't think, for example, like monkeys, maybe we shared a common ancestor with them. You don't think that's possible?
mean, doesn't science state that we evolved from monkeys?
No, it says that we like evolved from a common ancestor.
Yeah, monkeys.
No, like we evolved from a common, like some species, and then that species went to different environments, and then it evolved into different things.
But why
Like, for
didn't
example,
monkeys?
like-
Why didn't monkeys follow in our path of evolution?
Maybe because we needed to be smarter than they did. Like, we
But
needed
if
to
you said
develop-
we were from a common ancestor, wouldn't the monkeys also follow the route? Think about that.
But yeah, like for example, do you not believe in microevolution? I understand macroevolution. I'll explain the difference. So macroevolution is like, do we come from a common ancestor from thousands of years? Like, are we evolved from like these tadpoles like billions of years ago? Microevolution is, do you believe that if you placed a human in a climate for 1,000 years, he wouldn't adapt to that climate but more? And obviously, for example, like you look at the people who are native to like Mongolia, they have much thinner eyes because of the wind, whereas people native to Africa, they have darker skin for the sun. They have more coily hair for the sun to not hit their head.
I think.
So you don't believe in that, yeah?
No, I do believe in it, but
Macroevolution, you don't.
no,
You don't like.
like microevolution. Okay, I get it.
Sure.
Like environment can slightly change you, but
Okay.
it can't change you to be a monkey. It's not the difference between being a monkey and being a human.
We didn't become a monkey. We became human.
No, I understand. No, I mean, like, monkeys. Why are not monkeys adapting like us?
Maybe it's a skill issue. No, seriously. No, seriously though. Like, what if they had to adapt, for example, to be thinner to be able to traverse the trees, whereas when humans, they formed communities, they just had to adapt to be smarter so they can communicate with each other.
But they were in the same environments. The only difference is that monkeys also communicate. Monkeys also have communities in just a different way than we see it. Just because
actually, I saw this. Sorry, I saw this. This is a cool thing about animals. I saw this on a Neil deGrasse Tyson podcast with Joe Rogan. So why do you think humans are at the top of the food chain? Why do you think science told us that humans are at the top of the food chain?
Stamina for one. Intelligence.
Like the most important thing.
Intelligence.
Sure, intelligence. So how do you think they calculated the intelligence?
With their own tools.
No, like for example, the dolphin and the whale and the elephant have much bigger brains than we do. So why do you think scientists concluded that the humans are the most intelligent? Other than, of course, the fact that we can speak and whatever.
This is kind of philosophical, but like maybe we're not.
No, like scientifically, how do you think? I can answer if you don't.
Answer.
They take the mass of your brain and they divide it by the mass of your body weight, and then they calculated, and the humans had the biggest, brain to mass ratio.
Yeah.
And it turns out that was only when it came to mammals. That wasn't when it came to.
I think crows have.
Exactly. So crows, different types of birds, have a much higher. Do you know ants, for example? It's like 35% of a certain type of ant. 35% of their bodies are their brain. This logic doesn't work. Therefore, because obviously we're more developed than ants. Objectively, we're probably more intelligent.
We are. Now, this.
So this ties into the evolution part.
I think.
And do you think it's only intelligence, or do you think it's also to do with, for example, the fact that we're social animals, unlike ants and birds.
I think the way you're looking at it is not wrong. It's close-minded. Now you have to think about it like we don't know how ants communicate. We don't know how they socialize. Maybe they're smarter than us, but just we can't see it.
Sure.
And maybe ants think they're smarter than us, but they don't see how we socialize. They don't see how we.
Do you think ants are even capable of reasoning?
Yeah.
You think like they observe humans like we observe them? I don't think so. I think
they observe us as
so. Like for example, I don't think humans are that. They're smart. I don't think in pure intelligence, pure IQ. I don't think we beat every animal by a huge margin. Like for example, chimpanzees. Have you ever seen those videos of like the memory tests on the chimpanzees, where they put like certain numbers to get a treat?
Smarter than me, bro.
Much better memory.
Yeah,
so for
I
example,
know.
They beat us, but when it comes to why we rule the world objectively, why we can take on any animal objectively, we've built everything. Why do you think that is? I think it has to do with something spiritual.
I think if
The fact that we have souls, for example.
animals have souls.
Do you think animals, but not to the same extent that humans do? They don't have free will, for example.
Yeah, they don't have free will like we do, but they have souls. Like it's still like how do I say
Like,
it?
do you think for like
They have reasoning. They have if they want to do something, they're gonna do it. You know what I mean? Like,
but it's not to the same extent that humans.
yeah, not to the same extent.
So what gives humans that privilege to be here? And for
If
example,
we're talking
can
from
you
a
imagine?
religious
Can you imagine
standpoint.
like for example? Can you imagine a
no,
smart?
we can't explain this scientifically, but we can explain it religiously.
I think we can maybe explain it scientifically too, though. Like for example, like if ants didn't need the same level of communication or empathy or whatever, when like ants breed much faster than humans, so we can look at empathy and things like empathy and love and whatever and caring and not wanting people to die. That was probably evolved from the fact that the more it's harder for us to breed. It takes 9 months for a human to be born.
That builds empathy. That builds feelings. That builds
Because once a person dies, that's detrimental to your survival. So we had to build in.
I think
we should take care of our young. Whereas with ants, it's not like
the
that.
more
So maybe it was coincidental that we became.
the more your species survival is complex, the more complicated it is, the more empathy you're gonna have, the more feelings you're gonna have. Like ants, like
Do you think any animals?
I think like crabs eat their own.
I know for me, the only animal I've seen to really show like genuine connection are dogs.
Even then, dogs sometimes eat their own. Like
Eat?
yeah,
They eat their own?
yeah, sometimes when it's like really bad.
I mean, even humans do that sometimes.
Yeah, but
You know, in
that's really
certain
rare.
uncivilized tribes, you don't think they eat their own.
I
mean,
think
for example,
monkeys are the closest to us.
Like for example, the Aztec Empire, before the conquistadors down in Spain, they came to conquer them. They used to have human sacrifices openly. It was a big part of their culture.
I think
So I think, we're limited by the fact that we're civilized.
yeah.
Salam alaikum.
Maybe if dogs had the same level as for the civilization, they wouldn't do it. I think monkeys
They
are the
won't, though.
closest. I think monkeys are the closest to
To us humans.
yeah.
I
That links
guess,
back
I
to
mean,
our
man's
topic.
best friend isn't a monkey, it's dogs, I would say. Who do you think man's best friends are?
Dogs. Yeah,
Dogs and horses.
Yeah, dogs on horses.
Horses are goated.
Horses have high empathy.
Horses are goated.
They have high empathy.
High empathy?
Yeah.
What, do you have a horse, yani?
No, it's just known.
But mean.
So search it up.
Seriously?
Search
I'll
it
search it up.
Yeah.
Yes, horses have empathy, which is wow. Okay, fair enough.
Let's move on to the next topic. I want to get heated.
How many ants do you think to stop a human? If they all worked in perfect
Coordination.
yes, perfect
Now
coordination.
listen. This is a society-threatening topic we're talking about right now.
So what?
There's trillions of ants. Search up how many ants are there. An estimate. It's a massive number. It's an insane number.
How many ants? All right,
It's like trillions and trillions. Ants are
20
strong.
quadrillion.
Not even trillions.
What the
20
hell?
quadrillion. 20 quadrillion ants. You know what that means? 20 quadrillion. What's the size of the average ant?
The size of the average ant.
And multiply that by 20 quadrillion.
It's around 0.2 to 20 millimeters.
Multiply it
2
by
millimeters.
20 quadrillion.
It's not even quantifiable.
Do you understand how much space there is? That can cover the Earth and
But
that can cover the universe,
They're
bro.
mostly underground though.
Yeah, but like we're talking about perfect coordination.
So perfect coordination, how many?
Perfect coordination to take down a human,
Take down one human.
one ant colony.
One ant colony?
Yeah, no, like a big colony.
How big?
I'm
Are you
talking.
dude, what?
How many ants are in a colony?
From a few dozen to millions.
I say it's gonna take 1 million ants.
1 million ants?
Yeah, not even less actually. Depending on the type of ant. If we're talking normal ants, it's less than 1 million ants. Probably 100,000 ants can kill a human.
100,000?
They can overwhelm a human really easily. If we're talking out in the forest, not even forest, in an even street, 100,000 ants jump you. Okay, you're gonna stomp a bit, but what if when they get too close? What are you gonna do when they start climbing under your pants? When they start going through your clothes? Keep in mind, this is perfect coordination we're talking about. This is Napoleon level strategy. This is Napoleon level strategy they're gonna do on you.
Not necessarily Napoleon. It's like average ant coordination.
We're talking perfect coordination.
Okay, then
They're
without
gonna-
so 1 million ants, but they're ants versus one human, but they all hate the human.
Hate. So we're
Like-
talking bloodlusted.
So yeah. What's gonna happen?
Even less than 1 million ants.
Actually, you know, fire ants are gonna kill you. Fire ants are killing you.
You're gonna need like 50 ants.
Fire ants are gonna kill you, bro.
I think Judge, it takes 100,000 ants. They're gonna do like a war strategies on you.
Fair enough, yeah.
Like listen, look.
What do you think?
like,
What do you think an ant Napoleon would be called?
This is a human, and these are ants around him, bro. Okay, you're gonna stomp. Okay, you're gonna stomp on the ants. What if when they get to your feet and they start climbing up under your pants, under your shirt,
What the fuck?
and they get to your face, and they go into your nostrils and into your ears? What are you gonna do then?
So let's close it up. How many ants? Not fire ants, normal ants.
100,000.
100,000 ants. I'm going 1 million.
Ask ChatGPT his estimate with good coordination.
You would need 4.5 billion stings to kill you.
No, we're not talking about stings.
How many ants it would take to kill someone? Listen, honestly, it's better if we just keep it up to what we thought.
Yeah.
Okay. So next topic, and this one is more serious. فيها فلسفة. If freedom means doing what we want, why do we feel most free when we follow discipline?
I think this has to do a lot with how we are programmed to follow rules and follow discipline. Discipline is praised among us. Rules are fed into our brain from a young age. So when we follow it, we feel satisfaction within ourselves. We feel a reward system without
But it's like,
without the reward.
like for example, when someone goes to the gym, or when someone reads a book, when someone disciplines themselves to do something, usually they feel
Accomplished.
They feel accomplished and more free.
You want to know why?
Why?
When you discipline yourself to these things, like for example going to the gym and reading a book, you are free. You're freeing yourself from your desires, from your heart, and you're thinking with your brain. That's why you feel free. That's why you feel freedom.
Fair enough. I agree, but I think, I think if we were raised in an environment where discipline wasn't seen as something that was valuable, then we wouldn't see freedom as very...
Yeah, we would see freedom as...
We would see freedom as quite the opposite, and do whatever you want. That's
exactly. It depends on how you are raised.
It's like even things like financial freedom. Financial freedom takes discipline. But
Financial
it's
freedom, yeah. Yeah.
So would you say it's something to do with how you're raised, or is it an objective fact? Some things give freedom, objectively. Or is it because we're raised to think that they do?
This is a good question. This is my opinion. It can be different to you.
Sure.
But I think to be financially free, it is objective. To be free from yourself and your desires, that's has to do with how you're raised.
Fair enough.
Really, if you're raised in a household which prioritizes your happiness over what you have to do, then you're not gonna really care about going to the gym, about staying healthy or that stuff.
Fair
But
enough.
if you're raised in a household where you have to get good grades, you have to do this and that, you're gonna feel more free when you're being disciplined. Even though it's hard to do, you're gonna feel better after you do it.
So do you think every generation, especially our generation, I feel like sometimes we think we're living through history, you know, oh my god, Charlie Kirk got assassinated, Israel, Iran, do you think every generation thinks that because that's just what being alive feels like? Like, for example, do you think people in the 1300s were like, this is gonna change everything about the world history, but it really doesn't?
This reminds me
Like, do you think we're irrelevant?
This reminds me of the nothing ever happens. Jed, put it up
Nothing
on screen.
ever happens.
Put it up on
I'll
screen
pull it up.
when we're, nothing actually ever happens. Now, I'm 17. He's 17. We're not experienced. We haven't been here long enough to even say like that nothing actually ever happens. But currently, yeah, it just feels like nothing ever happens. It's all just a bunch of empty threats. But I'm talking from a political standpoint.
Sure.
Because yeah, that's what most people refer to. Nothing actually ever happens, and we're grateful for that. We're grateful for that nothing ever happens. Yeah, like some people view it as boring, but I'd rather be safe and bored than at war.
But the thing is, I don't think we're bored. Like, there's things happening, but happening, quote unquote happening. But when it comes to like really
happening.
Like like Charlie Kirk dying, like, was that really a thing that's happening? Like, when that happened, people were like, oh my god. But
Yeah,
like what 2-3 weeks later?
Like yeah, it's.
And no, honestly, I feel bad for their nation.
Yeah, I feel bad.
Their nation is so divided, and honestly, there are good people there that don't deserve the government that they're given. Whether Democrat, whether it's Zohran Mamdani, whether it's Charlie Kirk, honestly, it's mostly garbage.
Really, my personal view on him has changed a bit. Charlie Kirk, like when the text got leaked.
Pull Candace Owens.
Yep, like
I'll pull up the text.
Yeah.
So Charlie Kirk just lost another huge Jewish donor, $2 million a year, because we won't cancel Tucker. I'm thinking of inviting Candace. Jewish donors play into all the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied like this, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause.
Yeah. So
if that's real,
it's massive news. Early on, he accepted a deal.
Sure.
And as time went on, he realized this is not the move.
And he lost donors.
This is not the morals I want to agree with. These are not the principles I live by.
Candace Owens was his best friend.
By then it was too late for him to back out. By then it was too late, because like I imagine if you back out from a deal with Israel like that, you're.
So let's move on to another topic. Do you think humans want freedom or comfort? We see how in the West, like for example, they fight for abortion rights because it's freedom. But do you think it's freedom or comfort that they're doing it for?
I think that I'm not gonna talk specifically about abortion. I'm gonna talk in a general sense. Isn't freedom comfort? This links back. This links back to how we were just.
But I disagree. Can I give my reasoning? You said freedom is comfort. But let's say you're in a state with literally, I wouldn't say no laws, but very minimal laws, minimal taxes, whatever. You're free to do whatever you want. Would you say you're more comfortable in there, or more comfortable in, let's say, Norway, where you pay hefty taxes, but if you ever get in trouble, your taxes are covering you, welfare is covering you, your children have free school education, the government takes care of it all. Would you? But that's not freedom.
This is such a generalization, because, like you said, yeah, it differs from situation to situation. Specify.
Do you value stability over freedom? Which is basically, it actually ties into your career. So, for example, do you value? Let's say you can work a 9 to 5 and you make 6 figures a year. Or you work as an entrepreneur, you make your own business, you make your own show, for example, and you make money, but it's not stable at all. But you can make even more money because you're free.
I'd rather
So
I'd rather be my own.
It depends on your values. So obviously, when you think
Me personally, I'm sorry to cut you off, but me personally, I'd rather be free. Like, I'd rather have my own business. I'd rather be my own boss, because then I'd rather do what I want to do. It's not necessarily being free from a boss. Like, I just want to do what I want to do. You know what I mean?
fair enough, yeah. Honestly, I agree to a certain extent, but I think that it's not meant for everyone.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't think entrepreneurship is meant for everyone. I don't even think it's meant for most people. And
Most people would rather be comfortable knowing
stable.
what they're gonna do, already having a plan set for them.
But where's the fun in life?
Yeah,
bro?
exactly. Like
Like what? Like تخيل تعيش كل حياتك.
sitting behind a desk, doing a job you don't want to do. You're gonna go home angry. You're gonna be mad.
Like but you have money, sure, but do you have freedom? Of course you don't. So that ties also into society, where people fight for stuff like freedom, but once they get it, they don't actually prefer it.
You can be free, and you can you can be free and work a 9 to 5 if that's what you like. Like,
imagine making 6 figures a year and you do the same thing over and over again. That's very stable. It's very enticing to many. However, there is also the factor of, do you want to do this for the rest of your life? For me, I think there's certain phases in life where you have to sort of take control.
yeah.
Alas, you have to build something anew.
Like, you're not gonna like yourself if you're working a job you don't like. You're not gonna like your life. You're not gonna love your life. I'm telling you this. You're gonna spend most of your life in a place you don't like. Okay, maybe there's gonna be moments, maybe you're gonna have co-workers you like, but in general, you're just not gonna enjoy your life, because you're not doing. You're gonna feel lost. You're not gonna have a sense of purpose. If you have a family, you can't do it.
If you have a family, exactly.
You already have something. You have to build a family.
We took the Plato's cave thing. Basically, I'll simplify it. Do you think it's better to be ignorant, or do you think it's better to get truth?
My opinion in the debate, I was.
Were you for or
I was
against?
for leaving the cave. It was a really hated debate, really cool debate. Leaving the cave, even if it means experiencing pain and a new environment that could harm you, it's still important. For example, you study here in Jordan. You live in Jordan. You've lived in Jordan your entire life. You've seen glimpses of the outside life. You've seen glimpses of life in America, life in Europe. You've seen slight glimpses.
So what does this have to do with truth?
Let me continue. Now, you're given the option one day to study abroad.
Okay.
Do you go and leave and study abroad while knowing it's going to be hard? You're going to be going out on your own. You're going to be alone, scared, and you're going to be broke or something. Or do you stay here in your own comfort zone with your family, your friends, and you like live with your parents or something? What do you pick?
Me? Obviously, I'd like to move, but I don't think it has to do much with truth. Truth is, for example, questioning your entire worldview.
Maybe when you go out,
like breaking your worldview. Like, for example,
well, yeah, I can integrate that into the example. Maybe when you leave and you go to America, you see like how people live differently, how different life is
that's
there.
not this difference isn't truth. It's just
maybe
truth,
that's
truth is literally your entire worldview is shaken to its core, and you questioned everything down to your core beliefs as a human being.
Okay, let me rephrase. You're in a village. You live in a village. You don't know anything about the outside world. For example, when you go to America, your life is going to be shaken.
Sure.
Yeah. Now, that's leaving the cave. That's an example of leaving the cave.
So you'd say questioning everything is better?
Yeah.
Yeah. We agree. This one blows me away, honestly. If two mind readers read each other's minds at the same time, whose mind are they reading?
That's an intriguing question right there. Listen.
Okay.
Do you know the twin paradox?
No.
From the special theory of relativity?
Familiarize me.
If two twins, same age, if one of them goes to a spaceship and travels at the speed of light in space, and the other one stays here, one of them is going to be older than the other, right?
Sure.
That's from perspective.
Okay.
Like, from the perspective of the sibling on Earth, it's going to look like the sibling on the spaceship is the one that's moving. But from the perspective of the one on the spaceship, it's going to look like the one on Earth is the one moving.
Whoa.
So both can be older, both can be younger.
So both are true at the same time.
It's a paradox. That's why it's called. I'm not lying. No. Well, this is Wallah mush fatiha.
I know. So truth is dependent on perspective.
Yeah. This links back to the Plato.
The allegory of the cave.
Yeah. Truth depends on perspective. To link it back to the mind readers.
Sure.
It goes back to perspective. Maybe there are other factors, like for example, who read the other's mind first. But we're not taking these factors into account. We're talking in a general sense. Of course, this can be divided, and we can talk about each factor in each scenario. But from a general sense, both can be right, both can be wrong. It's a paradox. Yeah.
So you think both a mind reader can read, but the thing is, listen, like, imagine, okay, you have two people reading, so one mind reader is reading the other person's mind that's reading his mind, and his mind is reading his mind, and then it goes,
just keeps going.
So it's kind of like looking, you know, those mirrors where it's like a mirror on a mirror?
Yeah, like the mirrors.
It's like, wouldn't that like destroy their head? Like, it's a never-ending paradox of people thinking. صح?
Yeah.
So isn't that, look, okay, do you know the movie Bird Box?
Yeah.
Do you know how, like, they look at something and then they want to kill themselves?
Yeah. Like, so it drives them insane.
Maybe it drives them insane. Like imagine seeing the number infinity, like infinity قدامك. When you can't comprehend it, but it's in front of you. You would go insane. So it's kind of like that, you know. You see an infinite number of mind readers.
Are the monsters in Bird Box fourth dimensional?
You know what I like? I know my interpretation of the monsters in Bird Box. It's like seeing infinity on your front porch. Your mind can't comprehend it, so خلاص you drive.
Yeah.
And like, for example, like, imagine looking there and you see something like a square circle or something that's incomprehensible. Because it's in front of you and you're processing it drives you insane.
Yeah. Your mind can't handle the processing.
Exactly. So for one of our final thoughts,
you ever think about, like, when you look back at memories, you feel nostalgic about memories that you didn't even enjoy at the time, that felt ordinary, boring, sad. I think it's just kind of weird that how our brain links these memories, sad or happy, to a bittersweet sensation. And I think it has to do a lot with the brain chemistry and just a sense of longing.
Like, I was miserable in like 2022, for example, and then I go back and I look at photos of 2022. It was great. Like, I like the period of my life, like I didn't even appreciate it enough. Maybe it's to do with the fact that we forget the bad parts and we only remember the very good parts that are worth remembering. So we're kind of like romanticizing.
Yeah.
Like you see those people who romanticize like the Middle Ages, even though the Middle Ages was filled with disease and stuff.
Like, I think it's because also we're growing up. We're in time where, like, it feels like everything is a fleeting moment because time is constant. It's never gonna stop. And I think that has to do a lot with the question. Now we have so many responsibilities. We're in our last year of school.
Yeah.
We're in our senior year. We have so many responsibilities. We're gonna have way more next year. So I think we just miss the simpler times, good or bad. We just miss them. I think that's a good point to end the podcast for today.
Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. For whoever watched, stay tuned. Hopefully next week we'll have an episode where we interview a very, very, very we're very excited for this guest. Hopefully we can get him next week. So yeah, see you guys.